Hello, 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 ladies. Hi. Happy Saturday. I'm so excited, y'all. We ain't been on here in a while because, like Coach Tiffany and I were talking about before, we both kind of been in a season of rest, right? Can you say hi to the ladies, Coach Tiffany?
Hello, ladies. I'm sorry. I'm on my phone trying to share it on my page and everything. Yes. Been in a season of rest. Hello. It has been a while, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad. I'm excited, and I'm grateful.
And I'm so excited, y'all. This has been on my heart for a while. We've been planning this live for a while. Finances, ladies, has been on my heart. I'm working through some things personally with my finances, and it has been a fight. But this morning, when I woke up, I was so excited. I got a ding on my phone, and that thing said, Your credit score went up 25 points.
Mm.
25 points. I was so excited. I was so excited because I've been working so hard and so diligently towards a better credit score. But we're going to get to credit and finances and all the things. But right now, I want to introduce to y'all one of my friends and our breakthrough coach, Coach Tiffany. Can you tell us about yourself, Coach Tiffany?
Hey, y'all. I'm Tiffany Nicole Lotus. I give you guys my first, middle, and last name because that's how I'm Googleable. um, I have an awesome husband. We have together 8 amazing children. I have a Christian coaching business, Anointed Ambitions. We actually have two ministries. I have a women's ministry named after myself, Tiffany Nicole Loftus Ministries, and then we have a family ministry, Loftus Family Ministries. So we're just doing a lot. I hope our kids are educated from home. We have one in the military. I have one in her second year of college. We've just got a huge family doing a lot of stuff. Building. That's it. Just keep on moving, shaking, building, and not allowing ourselves to get distracted because we have things to do. So that's me.
I love that. And one of the reasons why I chose Coach Tiffany for this financial conversation is Coach Tiffany is like most Americans and most Black women who have large families, who have a spouse, who's working, who's building, right? And a lot of us are working and building and trying to figure out how do we manage these finances, right? How do we do it? And a lot of us we come from poverty, right? We come from that lack mindset. So it's all going to start with our mindset. But first, ladies, we're
Absolutely.
going to talk about the thing that we've come to talk about is healing financial trauma. And Coach Tiffany, can you tell us why is it important to acknowledge, come on, to
Yep.
acknowledge that we have financial trauma? Because one of the things that we do not talk about as Americans is finances. One of the things we do not talk about in the Black community is finances and resources. So why is it
Yeah.
important that we acknowledge that it's rooted in trauma?
So that's, you know what, honestly, before you can heal any trauma, you have to
Mm,
acknowledge it. Any trauma. It could be financial, sexual, whatever it is, you have to acknowledge it first. And it's so important for us to acknowledge it because so many of us are running around in cycles, running around. We're trying to hustle, we're trying to grind, we're trying to do this, trying to make things happen as a result of, let's just be honest, fear. It's rooted in fear. So you have to acknowledge that the trauma exists to begin with, especially those who have been raised in environments where there was no financial stability or there was no financial security. We joke about conversations, that we had with our parents when we were younger. You got McDonald's money, things like that. But we don't understand how um hearing no all the time, or how not seeing our parents not have it, actually put us in a place of the fear of not having it, of not having extra or excess. And it also puts us in a place where you can't give. You
mm,
don't give because you're afraid that if I give you this, then what happens if my car breaks down next week? It's all rooted in fear. And so we have to acknowledge it first, because if you have unhealed financial trauma, it'll actually put you in a place where you work and hustle and strive and grind to build, but you don't actually go anywhere. You won't move
Woo,
forward. You won't. You will stay
woo.
stuck in this place, and it's almost like you'll stay a hamster on a hamster wheel. You have to acknowledge that the trauma exists, because there are people who are struggling with unhealed financial trauma who either hoard money or they reject money. They don't even understand that they are rejecting. There's so many people who are in a place where someone wants to bless them, and they have this thought, and I've actually coached people in this place where their thought in the back of their head is, I don't want to be a charity case. So they reject the help, even though the help was sent to help them break the cycle that they're in. So anyway, let me stop because I can go on and on and on. But yes, it is important to acknowledge that generational financial trauma exists so that you can actually confront it and begin to heal it.
Yes. And I love the way that you said ask for help, right? We
Mm-hmm.
live in an American society that is hyper independent to a fault. To a
Absolutely.
fault. And with inflation and everything going up from gas to groceries
Mm-hmm.
to clothing to our whole society, some of us are going to need help. But you have
Absolutely.
to get out of that fear of rejection, right? If
Mm-hmm.
somebody say no, it's okay, right?
Yes.
Don't take it personal, because you have to realize people are in their own season,
Yep.
financially, and they may not have it. And one of the things I
Yeah.
want to talk about are the words that we say, right? We teach our kids money don't grow on trees. Money don't grow
Yes.
on trees. We can't afford it. We
Right.
don't have it. So
Right.
all they're hearing is a lack mindset, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
had to change the words that I said to myself, right? I
Mm-hmm.
remember being in college. I was a broke college student. And you know what? I kept being a broke college student because the words that I was saying. So we
Right.
have to be mindful of what we say when we talk about money, because like Coach Tiffany said, we're rejecting it.
Yep. Absolutely. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and what you say matters. What you say matters. We carry within us the ability to shift atmospheres by what we speak. And
Come
so
on.
if what you're carrying around you is a poverty or a lack mindset, then guess what? Everywhere you go, that's what you're going to have. It just is what it is. God gave us this gift to speak with our mouths, to act in his likeness and say, even if it doesn't look like what we thought it would look like, we can speak to that thing and something should shift. If it doesn't shift what's in front of you, it should at least shift what's in you, you know? And so we keep saying things like you said, broke college student, starving artist, all of these different phrases that we use. But you know what? I posted a post on Facebook yesterday and I said, I'm doing kingdom debt free. And
Come
I
on.
absolutely mean it. I am doing kingdom debt free. We're not working with, as a matter of fact, it's not just that I don't want to be working with mortgages. I want us to build something to where we can help others pay off their mortgages. You know, you brought up the part about asking for help. And I will say, one of the things that my husband and I focused on when we began to build our ministry was in the book of Acts, it talks about how the believers all came together. They sold what they had. They came together. They laid everything at the apostles' feet. And it said no one had a need for anything. Anything. And it's not, I'm not telling people to go out and sell their land, sell their houses. If God blessed you, do what he blessed you for. Do with it what you will, because he gave it to you for a reason. But we're believing God for acreage because we want to build a farm so that we can feed people without, having them worry about inflation. When we're looking to the government to feed us, to house us, to clothe us, to provide for us, and all of those things, you get into a place where what happens if it falls? No, we should be able to be there for one another. If I have it, and this is people who know me know this is genuinely where I live from. If I have it and you need it, you have it. And that is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best ways to stop poverty. It's not about taking what you worked so hard for and just giving it away, but at some point you have to have the heart to give. At some point you have to realize that all of this treasure that you're storing up here on this earth, it really doesn't mean anything. We have to be able, I'm not building for just myself and a legacy for my family and the inheritance that I want to pass down to my grandchildren and my great grandchildren. I'm building for right now. Who needs help now? And a part of my women's ministry is that I do. People call me for help with bills, hotel rooms, rent, just anything. If they call and they ask for assistance, if I have it, they have it. It's just how it should be. But because we have this poverty or this lack mindset and even pride, even because we have pride, we don't ask for help when we really need the help. So you've got women, especially, I'm just going to listen, ladies, I love you guys, but I'm about to call it out. We have Black women, especially, who are trying to figure out whether or not they can get groceries or put gas in their car, whether or not they can buy the toiletries they need in their house, or if they can get their child new shoes. And because they don't want to be a burden to someone else, or they don't want anyone to know that they're struggling, they won't ask for help. So they're just suffering in silence. And I'm going to tell you right now, that perpetuates the cycle of poverty. It perpetuates the cycle of generational trauma. Your children aren't seeing the needs provided because you haven't opened up your mouth and asked for the help that you need. Okay, I'm done. That was my rant, y'all. Sorry.
No, 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 no. That's perfect. I love the way that you said that because, like Coach Tiffany was saying, it takes a village,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
we have to be humble enough, right? And we have to be prideless enough to learn from one another and to ask for help and to work together, right? And that's what
Absolutely.
we're building community for us to help and serve each other. I know that it's difficult for majority of the people out here, but we're here to bring you guys solutions because there's a solution for every problem that you have
Absolutely.
financially. It took me years, and I'm still learning about financing and breaking that mental cycle. Because once I get to like a certain level of income, like I go back down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to like break the cycle. Like, here, you deserve more because something innate in me says you don't deserve this, right? You don't deserve this lifestyle. You don't deserve this abundance. But when you give good people money and you work hard, you serve other people.
Absolutely.
Good people with money help other people. So if you're struggling like I do with feeling like you don't deserve it, you deserve it because there's a nation who needs you.
Absolutely.
There's a nation of women and children who need you, right?
Yep.
And the cycle has to be broken with us so the next generation don't have to feel it.
Absolutely.
Because
Our
they're
children
watching
will not.
everything you do in every area of your life, especially in your finances, because that's what they're coming from.
Yes, yes,
That's what they're
yes.
coming for. They're paying attention to us and how we handle each situation, right? So the pandemic happened, Coach. A lot of people lost their jobs, lost their housing,
Yes.
lost everything, right? And a lot of people are dealing with anger and bitterness and sadness, and you can feel the energy in the air. You can feel it. But I lost my job, and it took a lot of inner work, right? For me to get to this place of, okay, everything is going to be okay. God got me. I remember it was a story in the Bible where all these people, they donated all their stuff, millions of dollars. And this one lady, she donated a penny and God blessed her the most.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And that's what there's anger, there's frustration, there's fear. There's so much fear, you know. I will tell you, as business owners, we also have a flooring and carpentry business. So when the pandemic hit, I'm going to tell you what God took us through, and is still bringing us out of this process. But He took us through a process of learning how to depend on Him, even when there was nothing coming from the outside. And so because of the shutdown, we were not allowed to go into people's houses to work because no one was it was everyone was sick and no one would let you in their homes because they couldn't trust you. So our business came to a standstill. And almost immediately after that, my husband got sick and was told he could not work for over 6 months. So being the sole breadwinner for our household at the time, and I didn't start my business yet. My business hadn't started until November of 2021. So being here, homeschooling kids, having a husband home who couldn't work, having a virus going around that was keeping everyone shut in, and so business was at a standstill. We had no choice but to trust the Lord. We had no choice. We had to trust the Lord to keep a roof over our head, to keep our utility bills paid, to pay for whatever we needed. We had to trust the Lord. Um, and it was not easy. But what he was doing was he was teaching us how to build up dependency on him. It had to be. He had to teach us how to depend on him when everything looks like it's falling apart, because the reality is that it could. At any time. We see what happened with the shutdown. No one really saw that coming. And if they did, they weren't really loud and vocal about it. So we didn't really see it coming where everything would be shut down and everyone was automatically pushed into this place of what do we do? You had families who were saving, draining their savings accounts in order to survive. Um, and us, we had an emergency fund. So you had things that you were watching your resources get depleted right in front of your face. And so what the Lord was showing us, he said, I need you to focus on my favor and not your finances. I'm going to tell you now that didn't mean that we didn't still need to budget our finances. That didn't mean that we could just do whatever we wanted with whatever came in. We still had to use wisdom, and we still had to operate in healthy financial stewardship. But at some point, we had to recognize the bills cost this much, and this is all we're bringing in right now, and those two don't match up. So the only way we could make it was him. That's it. I still to this day cannot tell you how we did it because it was supernatural. There was supernatural favor on it. And if honestly, I'm just going to say this about all cycles. If we're going to break any cycle in our life, because most cycles are created by trauma and they come from the kingdom of darkness, if we are going to break any cycles in our lives, the orchestrator, the one that we follow out of the cycle, has to be the Lord. It has to, because he's the only one who can show you how to break it. Anyway, okay, y'all gonna make me start preaching on here.
They teach it. And this is the thing. During that time when everything was breaking down, the church closed. So they
Yes,
made it that you didn't have somebody to lean on.
absolutely,
Come on.
absolutely. The churches
But
should have been able to be open to feed, to house, to clothe, to provide, and they it literally shut even the church down. Besides a handful of those who rebelled against it. But I'm going to tell you, even the ones who rebelled, they were able to report that the casualties of the virus were very low in their church because the
mm,
people were able to meet together, come together in faith,
mm,
continue to pray, continue to worship, all of those
mm.
things. So it was definitely strategic. But if we're going to heal from all of that happened, we've got to focus on where our help really comes from. We really do. We have to focus on it, and we have to. I'm just going to say it how it is. The way that the world handles finances is not the way that we're called to handle them.
Come
It
on,
just
come
is what
on,
it is.
come on,
The
come
way that
on,
the world
coach.
handles them, it's like we see all of these millionaires and billionaires, and we see people like Oprah and Elon Musk and all of these other people. And I'm not saying that they're not givers. I know that they're givers. Okay, it's just that what we're called to do with money looks different. It is different. We're called to lend to nations. So it's so while people are out here waiting for that first million, God is checking your heart to see how much of it is actually going to go to his plan and his purpose, or how much you're going to try to, you know, save up for yourself to hoard because you're afraid of losing it. He cannot utilize you if you are in a place of fear. He can't. So he's not giving you the millions because you're so afraid that once you get it, you're going to lose it, that you won't do with it what you were actually meant to do with it. And
Mm.
I'm just going to add this too. Everyone is not called to $1 million purpose. It's the truth, y'all. Okay. God has a specific assignment for each of us. And I'm speaking to the people who believe right now. And those who don't, I love you anyway. But right now I'm speaking to the ones who believe. Okay. Um, you are called to a specific purpose. You were put here. You were designed. You were strategically and intentionally put together for a purpose. And there's a design behind while you're here, or why you're here. And if you're spending all your time hustling and grinding trying to get your first million, but you're not actually called to $1 million purpose, you're wasting time. You're wasting time. It's time to figure out why you're here, what you're here for. Get your identity out of your financial success. Get your identity out of even what you do and become who you were called to be so that you can be effective for what you're here for. Because I'm going to tell you, people who are operating in purpose aren't depressed. People who are operating in purpose and see things bigger than themselves, they're not getting shut down because a bill comes in and they can't pay it. If I get a bill and it says it's due, guess what I do? Okay, Father, there's a bill. I need you to take care of that. Because and then I go right to coaching my next person. I don't have time to get distracted. I don't have time to focus on. Now, here's the thing. Do I know that God's called me to a very, 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 very big vision? Absolutely. But I really want to impress upon some that it's not, you're not smaller if you're not called to a huge vision. You're not less important. And we've attached importance to finances and it leads to fear.
Come on, self-worth,
Yes, your worst cannot be
insecurity.
what's in your bank account. Come on, we can't deal. We can't do what we're supposed to do if we are still dealing with fears of instability and insecurity in finances. Like I know people who are making just six figures, a little over 100,000, and they're perfectly fine, content even, like beyond content because it's not because their identity is not rooted in what they have in their bank account. And we've just got to move from that place. Like that is, I'll say it like this. When you grow up in a place of poverty, you grow up in a place of lack, when you grow up with instability and insecurity in your finances, then something triggers on the inside of you that makes you think that your worth is tied to what you have in your bank account. And that you have to build, if you're going to be somebody, if you're going to be important, if you're going to be useful, if you're going to be especially those of you who are still operating out of unhealed trauma, who need to prove something to someone else, if that's the motive for why you want to build financial security or why you want the millions or the billions or you're posting all these memes, it's not going to happen. I'll still see you posting Facebook memes in 10 years with the same financial situation because your motive behind it is wrong. That's why.
Mm.
Because the motive behind it is wrong. If your heart is wrong, the blessing doesn't come. It just doesn't. And
And if it do come, it's gonna be gone real fast.
that's right. I
It's
was
gonna
just
be
about to say
gone
that.
real fast because you
Yep.
don't know how to be a steward, as Tiffany say, over your finances.
Right.
Over your finances. And like
Mhm.
she said, it's a lot of self-worth, ladies. It's a lot of self-worth that's tied to our finances, and we have to
Absolutely.
get out of that. I know it's going to be a struggle, but you can do it. And I'm going to tell you guys some of the sacrifices that I made. Like I don't get my hair done all the time. I don't get my lashes done all the time. I don't get my nails done all the time. Yes, I have my self-care days, but I put personal, my needs
Yeah.
first, right? So my food, my water, my shelter, my clothing, my vehicle to get me back and forth, those are the things that I put first. Not
Yep.
vacations, not trips, not partying, not hanging out with people. Y'all just seen me go to one thing, a Beyonce concert. I haven't done nothing in a year, right? I
Mhm.
just saw some of my friends I haven't seen in 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So, with us growing our finances and healing our trauma, there are some sacrifices we're going to have to
Sacrifice.
make because we are breaking generational. Our ancestors, I'm not going to go back, that they didn't
Mhm.
have it, and we know why. So we're what we're doing is something
Yeah.
so deep that you guys have to understand that there are going to be sacrifices. And one of the things
Right.
that Coach mentioned is competition. When you're looking on social media and you see these women with all the makeup and all the bags and the clothes, and you don't know the insides of their
That's
world.
right.
That's
That's
a
right.
30-second clip, ladies.
That's
Your
right.
life and your self worth is not attached to the financial material thing,
That's
right?
right.
It's not attached, like Coach was saying, to your bank account. And we want
That's
to
right.
get you out of that. Your self worth, your mission on this earth is bigger than that. And
Bigger.
that's why they want to keep you down and say you're not enough, right?
That's right.
You don't deserve this, right? So we want to get you out of that. So next we're
Mm.
going to talk about some tips and some spiritual principles that we can apply to growing our finances and healing that generational trauma.
Yes, there is a scripture that I use. I'm trying to look for it now, but one of the first. Okay, this is gonna sound basic, but y'all need we need a budget. We need a
Come,
budget.
come
Come
on.
on,
Come on.
it's
That's my favorite
2023.
word. That's my
Yes, like
favorite
there is no reason why
word. Come on.
any woman or any family or any man is not keeping track of what comes in and what goes out. You have to know what your money is doing. Come on, y'all. Y'all want to start thinking like millionaires and start, being they keep track of their money. There's no such thing as you have so much money you don't even know where it goes. No, they know where their money goes. They know whatever it is that they're spending money on, they know or at the very least they pay others to know where it's going for them. Come on. But since you can't afford, or at least I won't speak into your life that you can't afford, since right now you may not have the resources to pay someone to keep track of your finances for you, then it's time for you to be intentional of doing it yourself. Do it yourself. Figure out, go into your bank statement. And we've done this many times. Printed out our bank statements. So 1 month, and this was a few years ago. I printed out the bank statement and I saw that we were spending like $500 a month on fast food because we have a huge family. And so we can't even go to McDonald's unless we're spending close to $50. Okay. So $500 just on fast food. That was not a smart decision. Now, if you have it and you can budget it into your finances and every other need is met, go on ahead and do your thing. But to us, it was a waste. It was a waste of finances. So we had to get intentional about looking in our bank account and figuring out, what do we want to spend money on? What don't we want to spend money on? What are we willing to sacrifice? But what are some things that we really don't want to sacrifice? For me, I am a hardcore gamer. I just am. I'm not going to apologize for it. I just am. I use gaming to decompress because I spend almost every day pouring into other people. So some people like to sit down and read a good book and get lost in a book. And some people want to sit down and they want to watch their favorite shows. I want to sit down and I want to play my favorite video game. That's how I decompress. So in order for me to play the games that I like, there's a monthly fee attached to it. That is not something that I'm willing to sacrifice because decompression is healthy for my mental and emotional stability. So I need it. So it's deeper than self-care. It's not self-care. It's this is what I do. And yeah, I could go do something else, but this is what I choose to do. This is what brings me joy. And that's really what it comes down to is I had to figure out, is this something I just really like or is this something that brings me joy? It brings me joy, so it's worth the expense to me, you know. And that's what we have to figure out. There are some things that people are paying for on a monthly basis that really aren't worth the expense. And so it's a waste of money. It doesn't bring them joy. It's not really doing much for them. And so then they look the next month and they're trying to figure out where all their finances went. And it probably went to all of this useless stuff that they're spending money on. Let's break the cycle. Let's get rid of the things that you don't actually need and keep the things that do bring you joy as long as you can fit it into your budget, you know. But budget. Just do it. Just do it. Just get, even if it's just a sheet of paper. I actually use my phone. I use my phone. I open up my phone. I open up the notes. I put what the month is. I say this is what all the bills are. I put how much money is in the account, how much income we're expecting. We figure it out that way. We
Yes.
need you need a budget. We have to be, if we're going to start with good, healthy financial stewardship, we have to budget. My second tip is to tithe. I don't know what to tell y'all. Listen, you can people can like it or they can't or they don't. I don't really care. I'm just going to tell you what I know works. Tithing is before any law ever came. People were tithing since before. So one of the things that I notice is that, and actually, no, this isn't just something I noticed. This is a biblical principle. 100% of it belongs to God. All of it belongs to Him anyway. So giving 10% is not. If giving 10% is a really big deal to you, it kind of shows you where your heart is concerning finances. Because see, the Bible talks about the love of money and the spirit of mammon, but they don't realize that mammon is also tied to hoarding money and being afraid to let go of it. And so if we're in a place where we're trying to build up the church, where we're trying to not just build up the church, but like our ministry, for example, is called to fund other ministries. So, and part of the reason that we have to do that is because a lot of the church attendants don't tithe, because these people are called to help the homeless, pray, do clothing closets, do food pantries, do all of these things, and they don't have the finances. We've got churches with roofs that are falling apart. We've got churches with, they need their parking lots repaved, and they can't afford to do it because people are holding on to their money because they're afraid of being broke. When they don't understand that it's the Lord who causes you to get wealth. That's actually in Deuteronomy. Y'all go read it. I'm not going to tell you where it's at. It's in there somewhere. But in the book of Deuteronomy, it says it's the Lord who gives you the power to get wealth. So it's not holding on to your little 10% of your check that gives you the power. Trust me, that 10% is going to end up going to some fast food place and you still will not reap the benefits of it. The only thing you're going to reap is what it does to your stomach. You might as well, you might as well take that money and actually put it into something productive. And if
Yes.
and if you're not and if you're not a believer and you don't believe in tithing, find a place to find a charity, find a homeless shelter, find something that you can do where at least a portion of your money is going towards thinking about others. There is always a return when you put others um, in a place of priority. I'm just saying, I think about myself, I think about my family, but I am almost always concerned about how can I help the next person. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna stop so you can talk. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. You were supposed to get to three. You gave us
Oh,
two.
yes. My scripture. Let me find it. Let me see.
And
It
while she's
is.
finding it,
Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead,
No, go
coach.
ahead. I'm finding it.
Okay, while she's finding it, I'm going to give you guys some financial tips that's helped me successfully build my credit, right? So, one of the things that I had to work on heavily is knowing the date things are due, right? And when you create your budget, you need to know the due date. Don't just pay on any old date that you feel like you need to pay on and just pay a little bit. Pay on time. We want to start a habit, right? We want to start a habit. These are new habits because we're reconstructing our finances, right? We want to start a habit of paying on time because once the big income come in that you're looking for and you want the loans for the buildings and the this and the that and the real estate, they're going to look at your credit and they're going to look and see, has this person been a good steward of their finances? Have they paid, come on time? And that's one of the things that's been helping me is paying on time. I had to create a habit. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't the pay on time person. I was the pay when I got it person. But I had to switch that, okay? And
Right.
know what you owe, right? When you create that budget, you need to know what it is you owe every
Yes,
single month. And if
you
you
have
don't
to.
have it, go ahead, coach.
Well, I was going to say you have to. We have to use wisdom, but we also have this brain of ours for a reason. Like we I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to go off of my own experience, okay? I know what it's like to sit there and let bills come in and never open them because your first thought is it's another bill and I don't have the money to pay it. And the next thing you know, people don't understand how, and I've learned this. This has been a season, or like I've actually had to go through this process and learn um, what it looks like to let late fees build up. What it looks like to,
Interest on
yes, interest,
phones.
late fees, overdraft fees, interest, all of this stuff. It's money down the drain. It really is. It's money down the drain. And whenever you see it, it causes a sense, it deepens that feeling of lack. It deepens that feeling of poverty. And so what people do to cope is they get irresponsible with their finances.
Mm,
They go out and do something with their money that makes them feel better
come
about the
on.
fact that they don't have enough money. So I have this bill that needs to be paid, and I'm telling you guys this as someone who's been through it, okay? I have this
Come
bill
on.
that needs to be paid, but if I pay this bill, I'm going to be broke. Or if I pay this bill, it just all of these different thoughts that go through. And so then the it begins to get so overwhelming that you're like, you know what, I've got to feel better. And so what people use for their coping mechanism is they'll go out to eat, they'll shop, they'll plan a trip even. They'll do things to make themselves feel better because of how inadequate they feel in the area of providing for themselves. It's counterintuitive, or counterproductive, but it's almost like it's how they make sense of it. Like I instead of wasting this money on something that is not really going to make me feel good, I'm going to go spend money on something that does make me feel good, which is a sign of some unhealed trauma. It really is. It's um
And it
it's
becomes an addiction
true.
that hit a
Absolutely.
dopamine. The hit of
Absolutely.
dopamine that becomes an addiction.
Absolutely. And that's why we see so many who are
Mm,
struggling in their finances, but their nails are always done. Their hair is always done. Their lashes are always done. If they went through their bank account and they were to look at how much money they spend on just keeping up their beauty routines or things like that, it's hundreds of dollars, but they still have a collection account on their credit report that they could have settled for that same few $100s. So this is the kind of stuff that we're not talking about, where you have an unpaid AT&T bill that's been in collections and keeping your credit score low, and you're looking at it. And I actually just walked through this with a friend of mine. She's trying to get her own place, and she's like, I need $1,400 in order to pay off these bills off my credit. And I say, no, I used to be a debt collector. So I'm like, no, you don't. Call and see if they're willing to settle. And they settled with her for half of what she owed. She ended up actually coming out paying less than half of everything she owed. It was two different companies. Um, and so here we are, spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on making ourselves feel good, when what you really could do is call up these debt collection companies and say, hey, I've got this debt. I need to know how much you're willing to settle it for so I can get it off my credit. And then you can focus on getting your emergency fund intact, paying off the rest of your debt, building the funds that you need for your down payment for your first house. The things that really will matter to you, you can actually begin focusing on those things. But it starts with acknowledging what you're doing with your money, and not just what you're doing with it, but why you're doing it.
come on. Come
Okay.
on. That was a
Hallelujah.
lesson. If y'all didn't catch all those gems, watch the replay a few times, because she dropped a lot of gems. And one of the biggest gems that you dropped is ask for help, right? So ask, can I be on a payment plan? Can we do a settlement? Do you have a financial assistance program that can help me, right? Because
Yeah,
if somebody gives you $1,400, your habits and routines are going to get you back in that same situation. So some of us
absolutely.
need to slowly be helped and guided out of
Absolutely.
our financial situation, and give it
Absolutely.
some time, right? I want you
Yes.
guys to make sure that you give it some time. So go back into my tips. Know what you owe, know the date that it's due, and pay what you owe.
Yes.
Pay what
Mm-hmm.
you owe. Pay what you owe. I had to learn that. Pay what you owe, because we're reconstructing our lives, right? And one of the things that,
Woo.
go ahead, Cole.
Okay, so I just got to say this. I don't want to cut you off, but I got to say this. But I'm going to say this from a perspective of someone who grew up in environments. My mom never actually did this, but I grew up in environments where it happened. Putting bills in your children's names,
Ooh,
um, doing things illegally. Okay, here's the thing. If you really want to build financial security, you're going to have to be a person of integrity. You're going to have to be a person who operates with a heart of integrity. You're going to have to be someone who operates with a character of someone who can maintain the finances that you get. This is why we see so many. And I'm not telling you guys, listen, I don't ever get on any of these things and talk like I don't know what I'm talking about. I was the one who was writing bogus checks and taking them to the bank and cashing them knowing I didn't have the money in the account, you know? And at the time, I can't even use the excuse that I had kids. It was just so that I could go out and party. I just wanted to use the money, and I know I'm not the only one. You know, I'm not. I know I'm not the only one, but I did whatever I felt was necessary for me to not feel broke. That's really what it came down to. And so there's so many who even now are doing what they feel is necessary so that they don't feel or seem broke. But here's the thing: don't take out the loan unless you know you're going to pay it back. Don't be a person of integrity. Do not take out a loan unless you're going to pay it back. Every loan that we have ever taken out has been paid back because we had to decide that if anybody were to come and take a fine tooth comb through our lives, we're ministers. We can't be out here telling people to operate in integrity and then we go sign up for loans that we don't return the payments. You know, um, if you, I'll say it like this: if you go into any agreement and you know you have no intention of fulfilling your part of that agreement,
come on.
you will not see financial increase in your life. You just won't. You will stay because here's the reason why. It's not even about being, spiritual or biblical, okay? It's the fact that your heart and your motive is still operating from a place of lack and poverty. You're still operating from a poverty mindset. So you don't have the ability, even if you won the lottery the next day, you would do all of the things on your lists because most people have a list of what they would do if they win the lottery. You would buy yourself a car, pay off the one that you have. You'd buy yourself a house. You'd get out of debt. You'd do all the things. And within the next year, you'd be broke again because your heart and your mindset is still not dealt with in that area because you still have unhealed generational financial trauma. And a
Yeah.
and a and a and a symptom of that is entering into agreements you have no intention of fulfilling. Okay.
All right, y'all. I want y'all to take a second and breathe. Everybody breathe. It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy. And I know what you're feeling is heavy. And it's a lot of single moms out there who are trying their best. But you have women, you have me, I'm here, Coach here to support you. You have Coach Tiffany here to support you. We've been through it. We can contain it. We can help you, right?
Yeah.
Like we've been helping ourselves. Our lives hasn't been easy, right?
Ooh,
I was a financial mess. I'm just now financially figuring it out. Oh, this is how you do this. Oh, this is how you do that. And we
yeah.
learn as we go. Don't feel shame. Don't feel
Yeah.
guilt, right? Because that's going to lead to more depression. It's going to lead to anxiety and it's going to lead to more suffering. And your children need you, right? So
Absolutely.
we're going to start to reconstruct and rebuild our lives. And it's going to take
Absolutely.
time, right? And you're going to look
Hmm.
back 5, 10 years from now, and you're going to be like, I did that.
Yeah.
My savings is at 50K, is at 100K. I bought my first home. I bought my first real estate quadruplex.
Right.
You're going to look back after years and it takes time to rebuild. Nothing happens overnight and it's going to take work because
Yep.
faith without work It's dead. And a lot of us, coach, we're just believing these things are going to happen and we're not doing the work. Every month, you should be in your phone checking your finances. I check mine every day. Every day. 'Cause I'm
I'm in
working
there a few
on
times a week.
different things. And I
Yeah.
check my spending. 1 week. We should do this challenge, coach. We'll talk after. But 1 week I had to look at myself and I had to look at my finances and I wrote down everything I
Yeah.
spent in a day. And you know
Yep.
where my money went? To food. Why? Why was my money going to food every day? Because I was comforting myself,
Yep.
because I
Yep.
needed some healing, because there was some things that was going on inside of me and food was comforting me, right? Because I was
Yep.
going
That's
through a
usually where it goes.
depression. And then
Yep.
I sat one day and I said, Kiera, your goal is to get healthy, right?
Right.
Your goal is to grow your finances. So you spending money on food, you're getting unhealthy and
Yep.
you're losing money at the same time. Two of the things that you're working on. So we got to pay
Yeah.
attention to what it is we're doing. We'll do a challenge maybe in a few
Yeah.
weeks, a 7-day challenge, 7-day no spending challenge, 7-day watch what you spend challenge, because we're not paying attention, right? And we're on autopilot in America majority of the
A lot of
time.
us, yes. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be the first to admit that my life is governed by my calendar. It,
Yep.
if
Come
if
on. Come
I don't
on.
know what I'm doing until I get up that day. I'm like, oh wait, okay, so what do I have going on today? Or maybe the night before, I'll say, what do I have going? But I have a lot of kids. I have a business. I have ministries. We have a lot going on. So I am the first to admit I am on autopilot. My husband, I just look at him sometimes and I'm like, don't you just want to stop? Because we just keep going and going. And it wasn't until, huh?
I said,
Oh, yeah.
don't you just want to take a break?
Right, right. And it wasn't until, the Lord made me rest that I was able
Mm.
to see. And one of my close friends who's actually on my ministry team, she's prays for us and all of that. One of the things she said, she's like, you're one of the most busy people I have ever seen. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And the Lord told me it's not necessarily a bad thing to be busy. It's about what you're focused on in your busy moments. Like, and I was busy doing all the things when I should have just been using that time to do exactly what needed to be done. And I didn't know how to do that. And so, and I didn't realize until actually a couple of months ago when the Lord started talking to me all this, that I was busy because as much as I was against hustling, that's what I was doing.
You became that.
It was exactly what I was doing. I didn't see it as hustling because I was doing it for the kingdom of God. And so when we start looking at things that we're doing, we're like, "Oh, but it's kingdom. Oh, but it's good. Oh, but God told me." Did he though? Or are you trying to figure out a way to make sure that you are financially stable through this thing that he told you to do? And
Come on.
that's where I was. That's where I was. So we've got to break the thing. I want to say something real quick. I just feel like I need to say it for someone who has
Mm.
a business, because some of you are wanting to break out of these generational financial trauma cycles. And you have started a business, you've become an entrepreneur, but you don't even have a business bank account.
Oh,
Where's your money going? Where you have to have the place. It's like the story in the Bible where the woman had to go get the barrels to fill with the oil. If you don't have the barrel, where's the oil going? Because what
ooh.
happens is if you don't plan, if you don't plan to receive, you're not going to receive. And real quick, I'm going to read my scripture because I know we got to go here.
Come
Um,
on.
it's in it's in Second Corinthians. It's in chapter 9, and it's verse 6 through 8. Actually, um, I'm reading it in the Amplified version, but it says, "Now remember this: he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly,
Holy.
and he who sows generously, that blessings may come to others." This is the purpose of sowing generously, is so blessings could come to others, will also reap generously and be blessed. Okay? Then it says, let each one give thoughtfully and with purpose. And if that wasn't one of the tips that we mentioned tonight, let it be one of the tips. You have to be intentional about your money. Everything has to have a purpose behind it. You have to be thoughtful about it. It says, just as he has decided in his heart, not grudgingly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver and delights, and it says, and delights in the one whose heart is in his gift. So it's not, oh, I got to give again, or I got to do this, or I got to, no, it's I get to. I get
Oh, come
to be the
on.
person who
Come
gives.
on.
That's amazing. But then it says, because of all of that, see, people don't get to this part. Because of all that, and God is able to make all grace, every favor and earthly blessing come in abundance to you, so that you may it says, so that you may always, under all circumstances, regardless of the need,
Hey,
have complete.
Allison.
Oh, I didn't even see. Said, so that you may always, under all circumstances, regardless of the need, have complete sufficiency in everything, being completely self-sufficient in Him, and have an abundance for every good work and act of charity. What it actually is saying is that God is going to make sure, because you're a cheerful giver, because you give for the blessing of others, that He is not only going to make sure that you have enough to give, but He's going to make sure you have enough to take care of yourself as well. Always. He's always, because of what did I say earlier? Because of your heart, because of your motive. You want to break financial generational trauma, deal with your heart. Deal with your heart. You can do all the things, all the things. But if your heart is not in it, if your heart is in a selfish place, in a prideful place, in a fear place, you won't ever experience the abundance that you have. You could have millions and still end up depressed, broke, busted, and disgusted. How many millionaires do we see commit suicide? Money doesn't solve the problems. It may answer problems, but it won't solve the things that you're dealing with on the inside. You're not going to automatically wake up one day with $1 million in your bank account and then all your problems have gone away. No, every internal issue that you have been struggling with will still be there. Money's not going to fix that.
And it will amplify.
Absolutely.
The people around you. So you have to be rooted on the inside with God and the spiritual things of God, right?
Absolutely. I told God one day, I said, Lord, part of me doesn't even want to get rich, because everybody in I just here's the thing, my family is not even the family that asks for money. But there was a lie that was implanted in me, or a thought that was implanted in me, that if I got rich, all my family was going to start coming to me and wanting money, right? And I told God, I said, part of me doesn't even want to get rich, because I just don't want to be the person that everybody comes to for money and blah blah blah. And God was like, why not? Why not? If I'm calling you to break the cycles in your family, why wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't you want to? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, Lord, forgive me. Because, there are some people who will get the abundance and they'll hoard it. They'll keep it all to themselves. They worked hard for it, so they think that they deserve it and it's all theirs, and they don't want to share. But it's like, if I really want to break cycles in my bloodline, not just my household, but in my family, my bloodline, to where everyone is provided for. The Bible says if you don't even take care of your family, you're worse than an infidel. You're worse than an unbeliever. So if I don't take care of those, and I'm not talking about toxic charity. I'm not talking about enabling people into a place of,
Right.
codependency or anything like that. I'm talking about truly giving from my heart for the purpose of helping our entire family break out of those generational financial traumatic cycles. Then I can't be held back by, what if they ask me for money? If they do and they have a genuine need, give it to them. And don't give for I don't want to be the lender. I just want to be the giver. I just want to be the giver. We're told that we're supposed to be the lender and not the borrower. But you know what? I don't even want to be the lender. I just want to be the giver. Here you go. Anyway, okay,
All
I'm done.
right. All right. All right, coach. Drop some gems. Allison said that was powerful. That was
Thank you, Allison.
powerful. Thank you, Allison, and thank you, ladies, for showing up tonight. So one of your home, yes, the giver. We'll be on here forever, Allison.
We would.
One of the things that I want you guys to work on for tonight as your homework, I want you guys to look at your income. Write down how much income it is you have coming in for the month. Write down the bills that you have going out for the month. Write down the date of the bills
Yes.
that you have going out for the month. And I also want you to do one more thing for me. In America, most Americans don't have $400 saved in their bank account. I want you to research and find you a high yield savings account. And each month, put a percentage of your income over there. And I don't want you to touch it
Right.
because you want to watch your money grow. So the first goal, your first savings goal for those who don't save is just $400.
I just did a quick Google search. So you guys can Google high yield savings accounts and do your research on them. There's no excuse, y'all. Don't get intimidated by how many options there are out there. Find one, do your research, look at the reviews, make the decision.
Let's do what we have to do to reconstruct our lives for ourselves, for our children, for the
Yes.
next generation, because they're watching us and they're
Absolutely.
watching how financially we're going to prosper. And we know it's already done with God. It's already
Yeah.
done. We have to just keep doing the work. I love you, ladies. Thank you, Coach Tiffany. Is there
You're
any way
welcome.
that we can contact you? Let us know what you got going on. Is the retreat still happening next year? Because I'm definitely flying
Yes.
out to Oklahoma for the retreat in June. I got
Yes.
it written down. Okay,
Yeah.
so
It's
let
gonna be
us
powerful.
know.
Um, so for as far as coaching goes, I should have specified I am a breakthrough coach, but I usually work in the area of helping people break through where they currently are by going back and dealing with unhealed trauma. Um, so I do that. My schedule is I won't say it's completely open because I'm setting very healthy boundaries for myself and saying these are the times that I work. Um, Kind of really focused on ministry right now. The Lord has been leading us to focus on full-time ministry, part-time working with our businesses. So that's what I'm really focused on, trying to get some fundraisers going and things like that. Absolutely had a blast at our retreat that just passed. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Yeah,
y'all go look
Allison
at
said, let her know. Allison love to
yes.
travel. I met her in the travel group. Allison, I'm going to the retreat in Oklahoma
I'm telling you, I
next
will
year.
say this. I will say this. We had 18 women show up to the retreat this year, and I opened up the wait list for next year, and we're already over 20 women for next year, and we're still only going to host 18 women. So it's mind blowing how God is showing up. It's going to be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than it was this year. So we do have a retreat coming up next year. Please follow my page for details because I can't even remember the dates off the top of my head. I have an amazing assistant who, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't know how to do half the stuff I do. So let that be another tip, y'all. Get a team. Get a team. If you are running a business, get a team. Believe God for people to help you and come alongside you so that you don't have to do it all alone. But yeah, I'm just doing that. I'm working on my next book series. I have the two books back there. Your Suffering is Over, and I am trying to get this finger to point in the right place. um, but I'm actually working on my next series. It's going to be called Faith for Breakthrough, and it's going to break down breakthrough in different areas of our lives and parenting, marriage, just all the different areas, even singlehood. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I want to continue to impact as many lives as I can. I will
Yeah.
also be, I also just got out of a meeting. I will be doing a retreat alongside someone else who's going to be the host. I'm going to be speaking there in November of this year. She's still deciding on where we're going to be. But again, if you follow my page, you'll see everything because I post everything from my kids to what I'm doing. So the best way to follow me is on Facebook. I get on Instagram like once a week, y'all. So if you're on Facebook, follow me. I'm there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach Tiffany. As you guys know, my name is Coach Kiera. I'm your women empowerment coach. I help women gain clarity and focus to be able to achieve their goals. I do have a group. It's a prayer group. You guys can join. Just DM me. I also have an accountability group that we meet monthly. And then I have my Power Focus coaching program that I help small business owners grow their business online. I love y'all. We've been on here for an hour. It's only supposed to be 30 minutes. So we
Yes.
was pouring. We was pouring. I love
We look
y'all.
forward.
Watch the replay. Bye.
Bye.